Commence primary ignition.
Hi, I'm Angus McGinnis. I play John Dutch Van Gold Eater. I want to welcome you to the Virtual Cantina Network.
And we're live. Hello.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome, Dawn. Good to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yes, we love Numa, and we got so much that I put her in the graphic over there. And she's right next to Neil over her shoulder there as the kids run off to get in the Crimson or the Onyx Cinder. I was thinking of Crimson Jack. But yeah, it's great to have you back. We really appreciate you joining us for the season finale of this fun show. I think we've all enjoyed it a lot. And
yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, hopefully it was a great experience for you guys, both behind the scenes and as a on-screen performer.
Oh, definitely.
So anyways,
yeah, I'm really happy that this one has, like, at least critically, done well on Rotten Tomatoes for a change. It hasn't been just like ridiculously review bombed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's always a disappointment when people just go, and drill down about how much they don't like something as opposed to praising something that's really fun and, a lot of people like. So it's always the negative voices that kind of are heard the loudest, which is unfortunate.
Oh, definitely true. I'm glad everybody likes it because I like this kind of show. Because, I know they kept saying Goonies in space. And even when we were shooting it, I was like, I don't really see how it's Goonies in space. And now I do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there is some very, very much like they took that scene from Goonies or from E.T.
There's
or
a lot
whatever.
of scenes from E.T. too. It's like Goonies and E.T. in space.
Yeah.
It's all those 80s movies that, I loved and grew up on. So, yeah.
Very big on the Amblin Entertainment movies and the other fun kind of, 80s style kind of adventure movies, as it were. But we're all very big proponents of the Neil Nation, as you can see from Dave's shirt there. And from my hat tonight is an homage to Numa and Neil and Noel, yes. And the kids too, the little ones. So
my kids, all four of them.
Yeah, the little ones are very cute and fun to watch, and having things like the hollow table with the holiday special kind of performance on it was a great Easter egg. There was a lot of fun Easter eggs.
I was really happy that I actually was there the day they shot that scene with the holiday, reenactment. And I was just laughing so hard. And they just did such a good job. They looked exactly like the original. It was
amazing. And the performer learned the choreography to a T. It was amazing.
Yeah, Colin, he's a stunt guy. And he was actually, I think he was the stunt coordinator because he was there a lot of the times when the coordinator couldn't be there. So, and I worked with him years ago on a Batman live action stunt show. So, but he did such a good job.
You got Dave and I's interest.
That wasn't at Magic Mountain, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, nice. Wow, very cool. I saw that a few times when they used to have that performance area, and then when they moved it to the back of the park. Lots of fun.
Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, so that was really funny. And then another thing I always thought was weird, I always wanted to get a family photo or something, because in the entire show, all six of us were never together in the same shot. We were always a family member.
Right. Well, that's a
well,
trip.
yeah, because a lot of the things where we see you here, the kids are like playing on the lawn, or Neil's up in the bathtub, or
yeah,
Neil in the bathtub. That was a big thing. Happened a few times, which I thought was kind of funny. I loved when Wim came in and looked through the sunroof down at him, and they had the little discussion. That was pretty
yeah, I liked that too.
But
I heard Robert bought some of your Neil Nation shirts.
Oh, nice. Dave will be very happy to see his creation out in the wild, I'm sure.
Excellent. That will be so fun.
Nice.
Yeah, he was really a nice kid. I really liked him. And I was also made some of the other creatures for the show, or worked on them. And so sometimes I dressed them on set. So since we didn't in the beginning, he was doing scenes where I wasn't there. And so, you know, we were talking on set, and I was like, oh, I play your mom. And he was like, oh, wow. So after that, anytime we saw each other, he was like, hey, mom.
That's fun.
To me like, so.
Was your head here shown in the photo to my right? Was that all mechanical, puppeteered by somebody else kind of thing?
That was animatronic head, and Tamara was one of the puppeteers.
Oh, nice.
Alan Scott, one of our owners at Legacy, and Diego. Those are the three that puppeteered. Tamara always puppeteered it, but the other two would kind of swap off.
Wow. Did you do any of the mocap type stuff that what was his name? Timothy?
That Robert did?
Oh, Robert.
We just used that head and me in the suit, and
they just made it emote however they felt was necessary or whatever. So there was no like digital replacement or anything like that.
Yeah, they had to digitally do I think it was eye blinks.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
But
get it to fully blink or whatever.
Yeah, the eyes move and all of that stuff, and the trunk moves a little bit.
Nice.
So
yeah, my trunk doesn't move. Just if I move my head.
Like, how difficult was it doing like the ET phone home, the little communication device football handoff scene in that?
Yeah, running around in the dark with that head on, that had to have been insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where I'll get up and I'll stand up and I'll back step and I count my steps.
Oh.
And then I just know to go that many steps forward. And you can kind of see, you know, out of some spots on the face, some little screens they had, but still in the dark, it was harder to see. So I would just count steps.
Oh, wow. That must have been, that must have been an interesting process having, because Tamara was saying that that was like a literal ravine that you guys had to climb down into to get those shots.
It was steeper than it looks on camera. And so she would either go in front of me or behind me. And I think Diego was there that night. So then like, I think he would go in front of me. She would go behind me. So in case they would try to keep me in case I fell.
Right. But, you don't want to mess up the costume or the head, especially, I'm sure.
Yeah. But if I fall though, I'm going to protect, because I make this stuff too, I understand it. So I was like, that head's not going to hit the ground.
Right.
But, and luckily with my bodysuit or whatever, I was very padded and warm. And
that's good. Yeah. Considering it was probably very cold and in the dark there in that.
Oh yeah. It was freezing
or whatever it was. Wow.
Yeah. I think it was, I can't remember how cold it got, but it was cold. Everybody was freezing. I'm always cold. That was the only time I was the only person that was not cold. And I was like, this is great.
Oh, Sherry.
Sherry says we don't want to mess up Dawn either. So that's a good thing. That's what Tamara and the other guy were there for. So
exactly. Hi there.
Yeah, we have a few people watching right now, and hopefully we get some great questions for you if we can. Otherwise, we will make up our own. So
perfect.
Spencer, I see Spencer.
Excuse me, sir. When you are not here, we do what we want.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're in charge.
Plus the comedic output is greater with the three of us.
Yes. But so was there any specific episode that you really enjoyed working on? Maybe this one, maybe
Yeah,
the
this
one with the
was,
running of the device or any
Or
of
do
that?
you even know? Because I assume they
Yeah, you're
didn't
doing
shoot them
pieces.
necessarily in continuity.
no, they didn't. So that was fun to shoot, and that was out near Lake Arrowhead.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah, and I think there was a little bit of snow on the ground, like so up near the parking lot. That's why I was like, it was really cold because snow was sticking to the ground. And then
one of the few places in Southern California that actually snows.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that scene was fun. The very first scene I did on the first day was where all the parents are at the house talking about like realizing their kids were kind of missing, and I had to say, even though they do a voiceover with somebody else, with an actor, I still have to deliver all the lines. But usually we have like a playback system where they've already recorded all the lines and they press a button on the computer, and then I just act with those lines coming out. But they wanted me to do all the lines, and in that scene I don't have a lot of lines, but that day I had a bunch of lines, and I had looked at it a few times and tried to memorize most of it, but all of a sudden I was like, oh, if I'd known that, I would have memorized everything really well. So I was just like, I was a nervous wreck, and I was around all these really good actors, and so I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we've got a guest in the audience there.
Leilani is here. The chat.
Leilani Shu is watching.
Oh, Leilani. Hi, Leilani.
She says she loves her Dawn. Yes, we love our Jawa Tika. And whatever other character she plays, gamblers and other fun characters.
Yeah, she's got a few.
She's infamous. She's in a video game too.
Which video game?
Star Wars Outlaws. She played. Yeah, her character Tika is in the video game as a Jawa trader on Tatooine.
That's cool.
I freaked out when
she also does voice a cat in a game, I believe. I forget what it's called. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but it is something that she's done as well. So
see, she's a jack of all trades.
So she's the literal cat, like the judge that's not a cat. She's a literal. I am a cat.
Yeah, I don't have that filter to put on. I have an elephant instead. I am not an elephant. I am here. I am live. Anyways, but yeah. So
everybody at home and watching, if you have questions for Dawn, just put them in whatever social media deal that you're doing. We're watching them all. Most of them come in right here in our feed. And we'll be happy to pass those along.
Definitely.
But I'll start off with one. Is I'm sitting here looking at your IMDb, and I mean, as like it is massive for all of these huge projects for like Terminator and Avengers, The Revenant, Captain America, X-Men Apocalypse, Suicide Squad. Power Rangers, Guardians of the Galaxy, but a lot of them don't really tell us what it is you do. It says you're a fabricator, or your special effects, or your this was an interesting one I think down here, the specialty costume manufacturer for like the Mandalorian. Tell us about just some of your favorites. Hit some high points of costumes or makeups or prosthetics or whatever that you've done on some of these productions.
One of my favorite things doing, and just because I feel like we won't ever do anything at this large of a scale really again because of CG is so good, it was Jurassic Park 3 and working on the Spinosaurus.
Oh wow.
The fabrication part is sometimes you see what it is and sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's underneath all of the skin like the dinosaur skin, and you have to make it so that the foam latex isn't going to rip. You also have to sometimes put some muscle pads underneath there, sew them in or glue them in just to get the right shape for things. And sometimes I would help foam patch on that suit sometimes too, or that creature. One of my other favorites was working with Tamara on Wolverine.
Speaking of Tamara, she's in the chat as well. So hi to Tamara.
Yeah, so she was. We worked on the Fat Blob together, and she was the one who figured out how to put that whole thing together and make it work. And it was really fun to work on that. And then we got sent to Australia because they were going to make it mechanical in some weird way, but then they didn't. So instead of sending mechanics from the shop over, they sent Tamara and I over. And we were really only supposed to be in Australia for 2 weeks. And then we ended up being there for about 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And, yeah. And then at one point I was wrangling Hugh Jackman's claws. And if they broke, I'd have to fix them right then and, get them ready to go again. So that was very fun.
Trippy.
And all the Narnia movies, the Chronicles of Narnia, I worked on those, and making all those creatures it was pretty awesome. The first film, the Minotaurs were all complete from head to toe, and they looked really cool, but they're a little uncomfortable. And so we had our main character, our main Minotaur, that would do that. And then after that, in the next movie, they had like green legs from the knees down and stuff like that. But it was really cool to see like the entire.
So yeah, I was looking at your IMDb earlier, and I noticed that you're not credited or not shown as being in, as one of your credits for Skeleton Crew as a that I could see at all. But does that stuff get like? I would imagine you have a longer list of things you've worked on than what is actually listed there, based just on that.
And especially because we also do commercials at Legacy, so I have. Anytime I work on something, I put it on a resume, but I have never taken anything off. So I just like to see how long it's going to get. Nice. And I separate the commercials from that. And so there's a lot of stuff that's not on there. And some stuff like the specialty costume, that's when I end up on set, but considered under the costume department. And it's under the union, so it's that's when I'm the specialty costume manufacturer. But at the shop, I'm called a fabricator, and that's what Tamara does too. Then, it's fun, and sometimes they'll do tests on me at the shop sometimes, as well as other people. They just figure out who's the right size, or and they'll test out prosthetics on us for an actor or a costume. So that's always fun.
Well, so it never hurts, I'm sure, if you make the costume in your own size. So.
It's like, convenient.
Sometimes it is my size, and then I'm like, can I audition for this? Or, sometimes they'll just ask us for recommendations. And so sometimes my boss will be like, well, Dawn can do it. And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they make me audition, or sometimes they go, no, we already have somebody in mind. So, but cool. They do try.
Speaking of claws, after Wolverine or Logan came out, I made a set. This is only a single one that I just happen to have over here that I could. It's made out of foam, and it's got a like a armature inside from a coat hanger.
Oh, nice.
The full thing, which I don't know where it is exactly at the moment, but it has like a piece I can hold in my hand and kind of have the claws come.
That's pretty much how the real ones work, except they're not foam. So it's yeah,
those real ones look really cool. This is not quite there, but I think in photos it would probably be all right. So I had bought at a recent con, I had bought myself a old man Logan jacket. So I want to do I want to get some mutton chops and find my claws and do a cosplay.
Oh, that'll be
old man Logan. Maybe shave my beard.
I wouldn't shave it. I just dye it yellow. Match the spandex.
Well, it's not going to be spandex. It's going to be Old Man Logan in the brown jacket. So he has some yellow.
You can put the spandex underneath it. Just
oh, there you go.
Come on.
What?
Do we think that Hugh Jackman was young in Wolverine and Deadpool? No, he wasn't. He was older. He was older.
That's true too. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
But we have a guest here from Australia who's actually in Los Angeles at the moment. Peter saying hello.
Yes.
Oh,
I know. I like
It's
how he
in
says for the
a similar
present for
time
once.
zone for a change.
Right.
We got our friends talking in the chat. Yeah, it's funny. He's been hanging out at in the Disneyland Resort with his family and some of our members. Enjoying himself.
Mike and Kareem.
Yep. Oh, here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Chantel does some amazing wigs. I don't know if you know Chantel. She does some great work on different properties, and she does wig making and things like that. And
cool.
so, but I can grow them, Chantel. They're just shaved.
They're just
They're not shaved. They're stubbly.
Depends on what color you want them, though.
That's true too. Yeah,
take care of
she can
that.
get me the proper match, for a not too old man.
They got to be nice and full too, Jim.
Yeah, that's true. They do kind of. I can grow my beard out before a con and then shave off what I don't need. But yeah, so that's definitely going to be in the works soon, but not currently. But
oh, good.
Yeah.
I want that.
I'll send you some pics when I do that. But yeah, I like to cosplay in the last 10 or 12 years, and I've done mostly stuff with helmets on. You can't really see in the background, but I have a Dark Trooper.
Oh yeah.
So that was before the Mandalorian Dark Trooper, and this one's based off of the 1995 video game Dark Forces, as well as they put him into Battlefront 2 in this century. And so I've taken that out a few times, but it's a big thing to wear. But thankfully it's all foam, mostly foam floor mats, so it's fairly light. And
oh, nice.
And I did what you were mentioning about the mask over here. Inside there's a lot of like places that are sort of recessed that I painted black on the outside but have like a mesh inside, so I can see through at weird angles, especially when I'm in something like that. You get a lot of attention from kids, and it's like I don't know they're there if I can't see them.
You can't see down.
And so having that ability to see kind of down, not at my feet, but in that direction is nice. Yeah. So I don't run them over, bump into them, or knock them to the ground accidentally.
So kind of to that end, Dawn, when you're wearing like the masks like Numa here, or like the Rhodian or whatever, do you have something that you can gauge where the actual eye line is, because the eye line is not your eye line? Like, how do you look at somebody when you're not looking at them through the eyes?
A lot of times I'll be on set and like Tamara put my head on and everything. So I'd be next to her and I'd put my head and I go, am I looking at whatever I'm supposed to be looking at? And she'd tell me yes or no. And then I would just memorize what that felt like on my position of my head.
Just
what you could see
for muscle memory, and just
what you can actually see.
I go from this to this, and that's
and it'll be like, oh, if I look at the top of the couch, it looks like I'm looking,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
that's got to be an interesting process, having to go through that, and just like you said, from remembering like the position that you need to be in to be able to get the right look or feel on set.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have
a baller, Troy.
No handler. I've done it with no handler, Troy. So it is a massive undertaking, and usually I need at least a little help. So I'll recruit strangers on occasion, which is very odd. But most of my cosplays, especially lately, are a little simpler to wear. So I'll name them for you, since Dawn's here right now. My most recent one is a Mandalorian that I built around the time that the first season came out of The Mandalorian, but his color scheme is almost identical to Paz Vizsla, and so he's got the blues and greens and silver, but it's really funny because
almost exactly like the Ragnar.
So I was just gonna say, when the episode with the kids in it came out, I was like, wow, did they see my helmet? Because that looks a lot like my helmet.
That's funny.
So, and the paint job was very similar, but so that one I like because it's a little simpler to wear, to put on, to manipulate in. I can sit down, which is amazing. I cannot sit down in that guy. And I do some oddball ones. My most notable one is a big fat version of Darth Vader, but with a Mickey Mouse head. So
that's cute.
He's fat Mickey Vader, and I have the head right up there, which is a lot of fun. I got a bootleg Mickey Mouse head from a friend of mine, and I built a foam Vader helmet and put that on there, and then I did foam armor on the inflatable suit. And that one gets a lot of fun kind of reactions.
Oh yeah.
And I do a Homer Simpson when he was gaining weight to go on disability, so he's in the moo and he walks around with the little drinking bird.
Oh my
God. So those are my main ones. And recently me and a friend of mine have I like mashups, like you can see with the Mickey Mouse Darth Vader. And a friend of mine and I have done a Rick and Morty Han Solo Chewie mashup. So I'm Rick Solo and he's Chew Morty is what we call him.
Oh, that's fun.
And so he's
that's actually pretty sweet.
He's a big guy, and he kind of dresses like Morty's yellow and blue kind of theme. And then I made a bandolier and some furry feet for him, and you know, we each have foam weapons that we wander around with. Actually, let me grab this right here. So I made a combination Han Blaster portal gun, which doesn't have the piece on top, but this is a all foam blaster that's a representation of the portal gun element. It even has a little screen that I did out of I printed something and then backed a piece of yellow day glow kind of acrylic, and so it says in Arabesh, it says, what is it? Whatever their term is for their worlds, and then it's 1138, obviously, because it's Star Wars.
Nice.
And that's one thing.
Not
that bugged me.
1139.
Yeah. So the last episode 7,
we were
there is
on the edge of the seats for that one.
There's a mention of a number that is on 1139, and I was kind of upset that they didn't actually just say 1138. But you know, it's all good. We can have another number in that series that's a Star Wars canon number as well now. So that's, you know, just adds to the canon of one of our favorite franchises. So
we are almost at time. So people will be getting your D+ machines queued up for episode 8, everybody. Just get everything all ready. But we do have another question. Let's go into while we're getting ready for it. Is Marcus Hiller is asking, so what innovations, was there any invention in the industry since your start in Bicentennial Man that stands out? Some sort of game changer that makes your job easier, I guess, either in fabricating, performing, making the you know, the process.
I think it is 3D printing. You know, it's like now things can get done even faster, and so you know,
can probably mass produce things that you need
make
as
a
well,
mold
right?
of it. Yeah. So I think
I haven't dived into any 3D printing myself, but people constantly ask me things.
Troy's like an expert at it at this point.
Yeah, Troy is the 3D printer.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how just the things you can do. It's insane.
Definitely. All right, so we're here. We're going to put up a little countdown, a 10-second countdown. So if we have our Disney Plus ready to go, I'll start that up, and then we can, when you see the little play button fly through, just hit play, and we'll be all around the same time, and the number will be over here. We have a sort of a general timestamp that will be pretty close in case anybody's to come in late. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here comes the countdown. Hopefully you guys don't get any commercials. I had one when I first
I got a
the
commercial there. Let's see if we can skip so I'm a little bit closer. There we go. There's the Disney Plus.
There you go. All right. Don't skip the intros. We always like to watch the recaps. We're big fans of that. If you did, you could pause for a second. We'll let you know when we get past them.
Okay.
And right now we're just watching. Ooh, Shmi get his head cut off. Ooh, that was a bummer. And Jod belittling the children.
Oh yeah. Oh, that
was harsh.
Pirate, that was me.
The witch?
Which pirate?
Nivian pirate.
Oh, right. That's right. We'd heard that as well from the earlier episodes.
It was going to be a bigger part than it ended up being.
Oh, that's too bad.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it kind of, he had a name. And so once he got a little downgraded, he's no longer.
All right. Look, we're on the Lucasfilm
a lot
logo
of the
now.
show is, I mean, we love it and what you get, but it feels like a lot of stuff happened that wasn't there because they have to get really tight to get into these 8 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
I love this intro with the Star Wars thing with all the helmets and heads that they show and having the new characters incorporated in that into that. Really
that was the first thing Sophia noticed when we were watching it was my 7-year-old is
okay. Well,
she's like, "Oh, look at all the cool helmets."
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
All right, so we're in the scene with Jod and his lightsaber talking to the parents and the kids right now. If you haven't caught up yet.
Okay.
And we just saw a close up on Neil with you standing next to him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm right where you guys are.
Yeah, so he's talking to Fern's mom, or they were just showing Fern and her mom.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go up 10 seconds.
One thing that some people did call right away. Oh, spoiler alert! That the man in charge was not a man but a droid.
Oh yeah.
And I know some people had been speculating about that anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There was a lot of talk about that.
See, I think that was the thing that was expected. What I didn't expect is that the adults on At-Atten knew it.
Oh yeah.
Just like,
go
ahead.
Yeah, that was a kind of a shocker to me as well. Like, oh, you guys are all very well aware of this, and it's a thing that you, once you graduate or whatever, and go into the workforce, then you find out about it as well.
Yeah.
That like, okay, we're being ruled by a droid, and we're okay with it. It's like,
and just
there were a lot of this episode where if I'm not in it, I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, you weren't on set or around or anything.
And you don't get the whole script. You only get your lines that you need for that day or your sides. So a lot of this was a surprise to me. So it was really fun to watch.
I'm sure there's a lot of revelatory things that you were like, oh, that's what that was for. Oh, that's how they used that. Or I love this. I guess you would call it a Star Wars convection oven.
Looks like a food incubator.
Or a dehydrator.
Yeah, that too.
It's got so it's, I love when they incorporate just something into the universe that is
there are microwaves in Star Wars now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spacey enough, but still grounded to an extent.
Well, that's some of the fun of this show is that it's like retro futurism, right?
Yeah, like Jetsons.
Very much so, because they're kind of stuck in a time frame that has passed them by in the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah, that's the thing that confused me when I was Numa and they were trying to figure out what clothes to put on her. And when I saw my finished outfit, I was like, this isn't very Star Warsy. But then I was like, now that I know the story, I went,
right.
Oh, I get it now.
She has a very 70s look.
Like Carol Brady would wear that.
Yeah, that actually very much. Yeah.
I think Carol Brady may have worn like those
or Mrs. Partridge or somebody. So yeah, it's fun to see that kind of throwback stuff too as well. Having that kind of connection back to the time when the original trilogy came out and how they used things of the time, but then doctored them up.
Yeah.
I love these droids too. These security droids. Their heads look like security cameras.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah,
kind of
basically, yeah.
Yeah, Legacy makes all the droids for this show.
nice. Very cool. Uh-oh, it's getting in trouble.
And most of that stuff is kind of like puppeted on sticks, maybe.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be on a stand and they'll move the arms and the head, like arms with rods and the head with a remote control. And then sometimes somebody will kind of be attached to it to walk it. And
Yeah, I saw a behind the scenes photo of Jude Law's character like interacting with Smee, and I saw it later in the episode, but in the behind the scenes shot, it's Smee with somebody behind him, sort of like how they did C-3PO in episode 1, where he was, open, and they had the, controls from the rear side, and it would, be enough for them to, have the ability to remove it in post, but it gave maybe a better look as opposed to just being animated.
Yeah, this scene reminds me of walking onto the bridge of an Imperial Star Cruiser.
Yep, here is.
Yeah, you've got those kind of the 70s buttons and lights and the big control panels everywhere.
Consoles are very much like what we saw in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are always fun to see in real life too, because you're just like,
you could press the buttons.
And that's a typical Star Wars elevator too. We've seen in The Mandalorian with Luke, and obviously Luke in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, so all of this I had no idea about, so it was really fun.
Right. So this is something you weren't involved in directly.
So I was like, oh, they were right. It is a droid.
So who did one of your team manipulate that big head that swiveled?
I don't know who did that.
Okay. Or did they animate some of that? Or
yeah,
I can imagine them doing them either way.
Yeah, or it could have been set deck or props. I wasn't sure. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to see Jude Law too, because he's really good. You get to like watch his process because he talks it out loud. So he gets in and he's like, and he's asking the director stuff, and then you just see him working it from what he first started to what he ends up with, and it was
piecing it together. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm sure having that kind of interaction with so many different projects with different actors has been very, very cool for you as well.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
Because how many times would you like go through a scene typically? Because I'm sure you guys you'd be doing the previs because you've got to pace off your steps and get your eye lines and things. But you guys are doing that without the kids, right? Because their time is limited, and then you have to do it again.
You have to have stand-ins for them or something.
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll have a stand-in for me for the lighting part, and then they'll let me sometimes I'll get to do it without my head on really quick to get a feel for it. Sometimes I don't get to. But and then you bring the kids in at the last minute. So, and then we also because Neil is played by Robert, but then also when it's the animatronic head, it's Casey that she wears it. So she could be out there more.
Mm-hmm. Did you interact with the directors much?
A little bit. I did, but half the time I had my head on, so I didn't really get to talk to them as much. Right. But yeah, I talked to them, and they would direct me. But I could barely see them. Did
you work with Bryce on any of the other shows that she directed? Bryce Dallas Howard?
I worked with Bryce on The Mandalorian, and her episode was the one where I played a Rodian with the kid Rodian.
Right.
On
that ship.
Yeah. And so she was great because she knew me from being on set, and she saw me. She said, "Okay, you're playing the Rhodian today," and she took me into her office and she wanted to show me some things and be like, "This, you know," and she explained everything to me, and I was like,
Oh wow.
"Nobody ever does this. This is wild." And so
cool.
I was like, "Okay," and it was cool.
Yeah, that seems like a very kind of Bryce thing to do from what we've heard.
Yeah.
Seems like she's very inclusive and good to work with.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the kids in some of the interviews I saw had mentioned, I think the episode she directed was one of their favorites to work on.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, and there's Vane, our friend Marty Matulis.
Yes.
Did you work with Marty at all?
Yeah. I worked with Marty, and yeah, all those pirates and stuff.
Oh yeah, you were a pirate, of course. So you were in some of the scenes with them.
My pirate wasn't there every day, all the times that their pirates were.
Oh, okay. That's too
bad.
because
there's several pirates that are like in and out that are at the pirate port that aren't on the ship and this, but then there seems like for this, there's a whole lot more pirates just to make it look all invasion-y.
Fill it out.
There was a scene we did where it got cut, but yeah, there were all the pirates there around a table. So if that had been in there, then you would have seen my character a little more. But
Did you interact with Jaleel at all, or like have to do any dressing of his character or anything?
No, we would just be in some of the same scenes.
Right, if you were as the pirate, right?
Yeah, and there was a scene.
Space Circle.
Huh?
Space Circle.
Space Circle.
Yeah. Space Circle.
Well, and when we were doing the scene where we break into the vault and there's nothing there.
Oh, right.
So after we did it a couple times, Jude Law decided he'd turn around, and when people are going to start talking back, he asks a question, and I start to open my mouth, and he just he goes like this to my mouth. And it was actually really funny. Everybody was laughing. And so he did it for the rest of the takes. But I was like, I could see why they didn't use that, because it wasn't supposed to be like a funny scene. So
it made him a little bit more comedic than they wanted him to be. Whereas, Jaleel can be a little bit more comedic or
goofy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how the kids here are just like looking, oh, what we're playing, but no, it's just fire raining from the sky.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's crazy how fast they've gotten used to living some crazy life.
I love how their hover bikes don't need to tie into the grid either electrically or physically on the streets, and they can ride them around.
Yeah, the hover bikes.
Because somebody had mentioned, like, why weren't they powered down along with like the vehicle like that Wim's dad was trying to get started just now? But you see them in the show, I mean earlier episodes, you see them go off the beaten path, as it were. So it's kind of cool that they can function without the necessity to be on that trail or that rail or whatever.
I hadn't even thought about that till you just said it. So yeah.
This is funny. I knew this kid was going to return in some form or another, but I was hoping it would be like they would come back and race him and beat him and be like, ha! But now he's helping instead, which is nice.
Well,
sort of,
whether voluntarily or involuntarily.
Yeah, that we didn't see. He could have got just knocked out.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't see Wim's dad doing that.
There were a couple of fight scenes in here that got taken out. So I was like, maybe they just didn't want, I don't know, maybe they didn't want any fighting.
Yeah, I'm sure they're trying to make sure the tone is correct for all the different situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because for the most part, again, it's been a little bit more geared towards children, Star Wars, other than, Jod taking out Brutus.
Yeah.
That was pretty brutal for a show centered around kids.
Troy's like, I think Wim's dad may have just punched him out.
Very
likely.
I feel like he threw him off, just pushed him off.
It's like, it's my bike now. I'm the captain now.
But I like too that this episode really wraps up a lot of things, but it does leave a lot of things open as well. Because most of the pirates, we don't see the end of them, so that kind of like in Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett is like that leaves us seeing these guys again. It's like this group of pirates is still out there,
so they can pop up in some other property or
well,
something animated or some kind of book or comic or another show.
Right. Well, we know Vane's in 2 different properties with Mandalorian season 3 and Skeleton Crew, but I'm curious on really where Skeleton Crew falls when it specifically comes to Mandalorian season 3, if it's before or is it after?
How the connection is there,
yeah.
Right, because Marty, when we had him on, wasn't overly sure. He was telling us what his headcanon was on where this fell with Vane. He's like, I'm Vane, and I'm playing it like it's this, but I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it's like you never know.
Yeah. He was sort of assuming that what we see in The Mandalorian is like basically he went on and met up with the rest of the pirates, and then they come and do this kind of thing. Whereas it could have been some big gap or different kind of order or something that we don't know for sure at this point.
Right.
Yeah, because with him being in both of them, like,
Yeah, that's one thing that we've been kind of with the reviews that we've been doing with our after show. Was the one thing we were like trying to figure out was, is it before Mando season 3 or after?
Yeah.
No. I wish.
Yeah, they didn't give you any kind of clues to where this falls in the overall timeline of the Star Wars saga?
No, but now I wish we were all working together, because then I would ask and find out if they had thought about it.
Pick the brain. That's hindsight is 2020, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
they've confirmed that it's in the Mandalorian and Ahsoka time frame, but with
where exactly
Marty specifically with playing Vane, it's just okay, so it's in the same time frame, but did he leave one crew for the other crew? Like we know he gets out of harm's way both times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was funny that he mentioned that originally. I think his character would have been killed off, but they liked him enough to keep him.
Yeah.
That's thank God.
Get the bike.
I really hope they do a second season of this, because I want to see where it goes.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah, we've been speculating on that as well. It's just the issue that they'll have to like adjust the story, because by the time you film another one, the kids are going to be like 4 or 5 years older.
Oh yeah.
It's already 3 years.
To time jump or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how little info they gave us on this, like around Celebration Anaheim, considering it was filming or wrapped or close to starting around that time.
They finished filming in 2022.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go, Troy, right there. Wim's dad annoyed me the first half.
Yeah, I know.
But he's my dang cubicle hero now. Like, yes.
He becomes very likable after that jump on the bike and gets excited.
And he kind of gets that renewed vigor. So, yeah.
Well, I love how like all the parents kind of evolved. I thought from the episodes, like the first 2 episodes, that we were going to see a little bit more of the parents, and I think that would have been cooler. But like how much you see that they ended up fighting the best they could for the kids is like, they were completely held down by the man, all the droids and things, but they're still doing their best to kind of sneak behind the scenes.
Yeah. I know when I don't know if it's conveyed at all, but when I tried to start out, I tried to be very nervous, and then by the end to be more confident, because they were trying to get their kids out and like they got used to doing all this stuff.
There you looked kind of nervous walking with Carrie. How was it working with Carrie Jones?
He's great. I worked with him for probably 20 years because we worked in the shops together, and
he's also Black Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, and so I made the Black Chrysanthemum suit, so I dressed him in that.
Oh, awesome.
Very cool.
So
yeah, my buddy who does the Chew Morty to my Rick Solo wants to do a black chrysanthemum, but we haven't gotten that good yet. So that's another thing Chantel can help me with. Maybe you can.
There's a lot of fur.
There
is fur. I remember when we saw Book of Boba Fett, I was like, "This is awesome! I really loved Chrysanthemum in Book of Boba Fett." And then Dave and I had a problem because then Hasbro released this Chewbacca that they had painted black, and I was like, "That is not Chrysanthemum."
Yeah,
and then finally they released the Book of Boba Fett version, which was like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, because that was a fun one to make because he turned out so cool. I was so happy everybody liked, how he turned out. And, so many of us worked so hard at the shop to bring that stuff together. But even on his belt, like he had little scalps of other Wookiees that he had fought.
Oh, wow.
And, like all those little details.
Sort of very bounty hunter-ish and throwback to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
That is very cool. I love this.
I want to pay really good homage to Chrysanthemum in the comics too. During those times where, he was fighting Obi-Wan on Tatooine and doing jobs with Boba Fett.
Right.
That's where because I didn't know anything about Black Chrysanthemum. So when we were starting to make it, I started looking him up online, and all the stuff was in the comics. And
so I remember one thing about the costuming that Marty had mentioned for Vane is working with Shauna and having her come up and like looking at his costume and then being like, oh, wait, I have the perfect thing. And like, here's a shoulder pauldron that's like a helmet from a character that we're all familiar with if we're Star Wars fans, and having those little things that she would add in there. Did you do a lot of work with her at all, or?
Yeah, I worked with her
for the costuming stuff.
There were times where, especially if I were playing a character, she'd be helping to figure out my costume. And there's a lot of times Tamara and I would, since we made the Mandalorian suits originally and we still made all the armor for them, if they had any issues with the armor, like we'd help them, like they'd send it back to their little shop that they had, but Tamara and I would help them fix things on the suit or
that's
change something.
The cobbled together Mandalorians was another thing I really loved, having a battle droid head as a shoulder pauldron. Really cool stuff. And then here back with Smee has got he's back in business even though he's still missing his head.
I know, I love it holding his head. So
KB reconnected some wiring and got him going.
Yeah. I just love the fact that she's holding his head.
Holding
so
the
he can see.
Critter on her head like Ratatouille.
Yeah, that too. The little mouse thing. So that was all digital, I'm sure.
That little mouse, they had a reference.
Oh, they did.
So we made a little reference guy. And at Christmas, Tamara noticed, she goes, oh, somebody's been putting Santa hats on a lot of stuff on our displays. And someone put a Santa hat on 33, and then that thing sticking out of his eye with a tiny little Santa hat. So
oh, wow.
Cute.
That sounds like a new design we might have to work on here.
It was really cute.
For Christmas merch or something. That's fun.
Well, there's just so much in here that that we need to see as toys and action figures and things. But this is going to be another one, I'm sure, that may get overlooked for a while. That like I don't know that we're going to get a Numa Black series.
Yeah.
Any kind of action figure of that character.
Of them out right now.
But not the parents, is they've got the kids, and know, I don't think we're going to get the parents. I don't know. Was that a legitimate? You were in the chat on that. The Brutus, did they actually put out a Brutus that was a real one?
Yeah, the one photo I pushed that has the ribbon of Jeff, with the little star thing.
Yeah,
I literally was taking the screenshot right off Hasbro's website when he sent that over. I said, "Look, Jeff even approves." That's actual the Black Series one, but I tell you what, that custom.
Yeah, that looked like it was a larger, like more like a 12-inch figure, and it had real fur for Brutus's head, which was really cool. we'll have to send you that image so you can see.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was a very, very cool looking custom.
Well, then that's the next next
I
plan.
wouldn't
We'll
be
have to find like
surprised.
a Partridge Family, figure, and then like
give it an elephant head.
Bash a Neil head onto it. And figure out.
Yeah, Numa has a little bit more hair than Neil.
A little bit, yeah. Not the side part. He has this cute little. Side.
Yeah, his little side.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we were, Dave, the way Hasbro's been doing a lot of 2-packs, 3-packs of figures. Like, they just recently came out with Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon for Phantom Menace in a 3-pack.
That's cool.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if they went and just did.
We got Neil's whole family.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Have Noel and Numa and is it Jorko Chulo? I don't remember the last one.
No, I forgot names too.
But that would be cool to have a 5-pack, right? Because Neil, you can buy Neil now.
You can buy that.
Oh,
that'd be cool to have that 5-pack. I think that'd be really cool.
Tamara was at a loss last week. She didn't remember who played Brutus, and so she's throwing that in the chat there. Stephen O. Young. Yeah.
I love that character. It looks so cool in real life. Legacy made the head, but the costumes dressed him, and I loved everything about that character.
I love his bandolier of little pistols. That was a really cool element that I thought was
pirate.
Just sold the pirate idea.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Now there was one day I had COVID and they wouldn't let me shoot. I was so upset that they were like, and I go, they're just going to put somebody else in my costume. And so at least they asked me who I would want in there.
Oh, okay.
And they listened.
That's cool.
So Pam filled in for me for a day.
Oh, Pam Riddle?
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. I didn't know that.
Very cool.
She's a friend of the show and the channel. She's very sweet, very nice. We loved having her at we didn't have her as a guest, but I think she was she at Scum and Villainy?
Yeah, she was signing stuff.
Oh, she was? Okay. I can remember. There's so many people. You guys were packed in there. Yeah. But that was a great event. We really really appreciate you joining us for that. And it was such a fun spot. I don't know if you spent much time at Scum, but it's a great little.
I've been there a few times.
Bar. They have so many different varying sort of nerd-centric things going on, and that's what JC, the owner, always says. It's not a Star Wars bar necessarily. It's more of a nerd bar because they support all the different things.
Well, it's all the things. But I think was it your table, Dawn, that was like in the sun for like the first part of the thing that was just not the.
We were in the shade.
Oh, you were in the shade.
Were you at the
spot where I was like, how'd this happen?
Yeah, that was not ideal. That back area there needs to be completed with maybe some tarps or something. But
and then there was like something dead. They were
it smelled like a dead rat. I remember Leilani talking about that she smelled like nasty. in the Shire decorations on the back wall.
Yeah, she remembers. You had the rat. You were on the other side.
Yeah, and Amy was the one that was really in the sun. Her and somebody else was at that end. But
Dee was over, I think, on that end.
Yeah,
and Lay was on that end. I think
she was on the back wall, and I think Amy and Dee were on that east side, which was like direct sunlight for most of the. After a certain point, the building started to shade you guys, but this is crazy right here with the reveal of the.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of whatever that thing was in Andor. With all the colors going across.
Oh, that
the sky.
That sort of Northern Lights event that would happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called as well, but this is great seeing the B-wings coming in and the X-wings. One thing I noticed today, and then that was that I forget what the species is, but I think we've seen that X-wing pilot before.
I think
Yeah, I think that's Eoasti,
yeah.
who was in Force Awakens, but I don't think he lived through that movie, and I think it's the same species, different character.
Okay.
In Rise
I
of
think it was
Skywalker.
Eloasti or something, because
Yeah,
it's
you're
based
probably
on
right,
the
Elo.
JJ loves the Beastie Boys, as you could see in like that Star Trek movie
Mm.
that he did.
Yes.
And so that was like Hello Nasty was the reference from the Beastie Boys, the song.
Oh,
So,
that makes sense. I never
yeah.
knew that.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
I
how
love
many
those little-
citizens of
boys.
Atten were in all these crowd shots that you've got there? It looks like there's tons of people there.
Yeah, well, is there a lot of extras, or was it
there were
pieced
a
together?
lot, but not as many as it looks like. But
So
there were a lot of BG people, and when we
Right.
were looking at the sky too, I had no idea what we were looking at. You know,
Oh
it
yeah,
was
of course.
okay.
Just imagine
Yeah, that
this
reveal was
thing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Nice. This is an amazing scene here of the ship, the frigate coming down, and Jod sort of being sad about it.
Yeah.
Well, and the music really sells it here. You're hearing this.
I really like the music for this show.
Yeah, they did a great job. They've done
I
all
like
the
how
Disney
his
Plus
eyes
Star Wars
switch.
shows. Oh yeah.
Like, you know,
Right.
he's there. It's like everything
looked
that he
over.
had planned is blown
Right.
up in his face.
Yeah.
And he looks down, and then all of a sudden he looks up with like this renewed vigor.
Mm.
Well, we were talking about why would have he even called the other pirates in? He could have had it all to himself.
Right.
Unless he thought
Well, he
they'd
was-
take him down forever.
That
Yeah,
it's
or
probably a very good
maybe
possibility.
he couldn't get as much as he wanted on the ship.
Yeah, I think he was trying to be a little greedy and wanted to fill up the frigate versus the
Yeah.
Onyx Cinder kind of
That makes
payload area. I love the credits all strewn across the ground here.
Yeah.
This is great. I don't
Did
have
anybody
those.
also catch when the frigate's going down, and just as the bridge part of it goes in, you get almost like side view of the Millennium Falcon?
I'm sure there was a lot of
the
elements that
docking
were
port
built
is
from
the
that.
same. I think that
Yeah.
side
Yeah.
docking
Look
port.
at this.
So was that a Corellian frigate by some weird chance?
I mean,
what?
maybe it's just a Corellian frigate, and so it has similar pieces
Yeah.
and parts.
Yeah.
Well, that's one cool thing about the digital kit bashing that they can do nowadays is have all these things scanned in, and then like, I want to borrow this part and that part.
Yeah.
Like Mama Crab and all the references they put on.
Yeah, that was one of the thing about borrowing Greeblies, as it were, from digitally, was something that John had talked about with because he built the Onyx Cinder, and he's like, you know, in other ships as well, that they had, you know, would use pieces in weird ways, and then he'd have to interpret it into a physical model. And he's like, well, I'm going to make that sort of look like that, but it's not going to be exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
I love this with Smee holding his
His
head. Yeah. So did you get that reference originally that SM-33 was sort of a take on Smee from Hook, or from
Somebody
Robin?
had said it. That
not
was
Robin
the
Hood.
only
Peter Pan.
reason I got that. Otherwise, I don't think I would have.
Yeah. Seeing it we watch a lot with the subtitles on for the sake of not getting copyright strikes.
I think I would have reading it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Catch on to it.
Yeah.
Great episode. I love these end credits on this one.
This, like I said,
Yeah, I was going to say, what did you think of these, Jeff?
I thought this was a really cool. I immediately recognized it as off of Wim's little pad, and I would have liked to seen full screen shots with the actual text on there. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go through and capture these, and in between all the credits, get a full version of this shot and piece it together without any of the credit text on top, just to have some sort of cool reference stuff.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I'm sure there's, you know, actual ones that they use in the production, but
yeah.
for my sake, it'll be like, okay, I'm going to take this shot. And
because what was Mike saying at one point, that these are all like from High Republic stories, legends?
That's what I was we were trying to debate that. Well, like, we almost feel like, in a way, the pad and rolling the credits was, did we just view this whole series really through Whim's data pad,
Imagination or something.
versus, yeah,
Right.
because if you think about this, and with another Lucasfilm property with Willow was basically at the end of the season, they folded the book and they put it on the shelf next to Volume 2 and Volume 3, right? So, like, that's what I thought maybe was here. Maybe this was the story, maybe a little bit of backstory of Ja, but
See, what's
it's
fun?
just cool.
Yeah, what's fun that I hadn't noticed or hadn't picked up on original in my first watch was that last frame right before they throw the Skeleton Crew logo up. Is the kids are literally on the Onyx Cinder and there's the rest of the pad there. Yeah, so they're part of the storyline or one of the stories in that sort of lore, which is so cool. But amazing episode. We love your input on the show. A great show. Lots of fun to watch. Everybody who's worked on these Star Wars Disney Plus shows has done amazing work as far as I'm concerned. I look forward to more stuff. I'm kind of disappointed that production is moving from Manhattan Beach to across the pond, as it were, which is a little bit of a bummer. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to affect you guys greatly in terms of, properties to work on. And I mean, but you have an amazing resume, so I'm sure you guys will have lots of stuff to work with, but it just won't be the Star Wars fun.
Yeah.
So.
But I know it was a good run while it lasted.
Yeah, it was a good 5-6 years.
Yeah, 2018.
Oh, so 7 years. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So in the credits, we love to, look through and see names like yours that we recognize. It makes it a lot more fun. You and Tamara, and we want to memorialize Ginsu. I have my little Loth cat here. Doesn't look quite as good as the one that Tamara built, but it's what I got. So, and
I don't know if you saw
Neil Nation,
her husband's post about how she used her whiskers.
Yeah, I think she had talked about that at one point as well, and that's a really kind of fun homage, and it's really nice to have that sort of in perpetuity, as it were, as being a memory of her beloved pet. So
I mean, cool. that's an amazing tribute, and it humanizes like all of the people that we know work on the shows, as they do the same kind of thing, because you've got the houndy things that are essentially
based on Dave's dog,
and then to hear that there are literal pieces of your cat in the Loth cat, that's good stuff.
Yeah, that's very cool. Makes it that much, it's more of a heartfelt thing. Putting your soul into the work, as it were, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, you posted that stuff, Jeff, and I'm like in the middle of workday going, well, I can't concentrate for a while.
Yeah, when I saw his post, I was like, I need to make sure other people are aware of this. And I really liked the way that they had done the little graphic that was sort of similar to some of the, character graphics that Star Wars puts out. So I thought that was very nice as well.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And I was I knew those whiskers were in there, but I just like, oh yeah, that's right. Ginsu lives on.
Yes, that is very sweet. So, all right. Well, we really appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely.
So, Dawn, do you have anything else in the works? Anything else that we should be watching for coming down the pike that you can talk about? Yeah.
I can't talk about it, but there's some cool stuff coming out. I don't know when. It's probably going to be a while. But other than that, I'm trying to think, what have I done since Skeleton Crew?
Yeah, it's been through 2.5 years or something, right? Yeah.
So it was a lot of Star Wars stuff and shoot. I'd have to look at my little resume and see some commercials.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I've been busy.
We would definitely love to have you come back if you have more Star Wars properties to be involved in. We always love having you guys on, and this was a great season. We had somebody from the show in one form or another on every episode of this amazing show.
Yeah, we were very, very fortunate this go around.
That was really cool
to be able to have somebody every time. That was great.
Yeah, and you know, from Nick Benjamin and a deer, stunt guys, you know, Marty doing Vane, you and Tamara working on you know, characters and behind the scenes stuff. She kept talking about how she had to help manipulate SM-33 at times, and you know, had to duck out of the shot and do all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, we had to, it was fun. You know, we made all the little 4-armed furry creatures. I don't know what their real name is, but we were calling them the quadroonians because they had 4 arms.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of great callbacks in this show. The little Captain EO references.
Yeah.
We also had John Goodson on. You know, his work, amazing work on Razor Crest, and now on Onyx Cinder, and many Star Trek properties, and all kinds of amazing stuff that he's worked on.
And John, if you're watching or if you see this on the back end, like, you can keep a secret, dude. Because nobody told us that
we were like,
ship was going to transform, and
that would have been a great episode to have John on for last week when we had Tamara on. If that would have been very cool to have that reveal while John was with us. But we will have to do a rewatch at some point and have John on for that episode.
Yeah, nobody ever. Sometimes you know what episode you're in sometimes from the call sheet, but like when you're building stuff, I'm like, I have no idea what episode
where it's going to appear or something. Right.
Time. That's so great. I wonder if he even knew when it would show up.
Well, that's
right. That's true. It was great seeing you at the El Capitan for the first 2 episodes on the big screen. That was
fun.
Really sold me on the show. I felt like I remember feeling myself like leaning forward, like, you know, intently getting interested in the show and being like, what's going to happen to these kids? And then I was disappointed that the second episode was, you know, that much shorter than the first, but I was still like all about it.
Yeah, I felt like it abruptly ended, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I had run to the restroom in between, because they actually showed credits for the first episode, which is weird for those screenings. A lot of times they'll skip past the credits and just show them at the end of the second one. And I was like, oh, I got a minute to go to the bathroom. And then I came back and I was like, okay, I'm hunker down for the next episode. And I'm like, oh, wow, that was over fast. But, you know, it was still a lot of great content and really fun to watch. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. So
I really did too. It was really fun to watch and to work on.
Oh yeah,
Artishir was the
Artishir.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So he talked about.
We didn't even watch the episode.
No, we talking about like there's an episode on,
and it was
talk about you.
Yeah, that was Jeff. That was you, Spencer, and I, correct, or was that you, Dave?
No, you were in that one. I was lurking in the
that's right. Yeah, but man, he was spitting stories. We were like, I didn't even pay attention. I'm like,
he's like, there I am, because like he was in the Marauder group or whatever from that scene where they went to Akron.
Yeah, he's that Athorian driving the tank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And wasn't that also the episode Bryce directed too?
Episode 4,
was that not?
5, 4, 6?
I think so.
Or did she do 6?
I can't remember if it was 4 or 6 or what he was on exactly.
Anyways. And 6? I don't know either.
Anyways, but it was a great episode regardless, and it was cool to like he actually is normally a stunt performer, but was like a face actor in that scene, which is cool.
Oh yeah.
In some amazing armor. Did you guys work on that armor at all?
No, that I think was the costume department.
Oh, okay. Well, that was very cool stuff as well.
Yeah.
But all the stuff that has come out through these shows, the characters, the creatures, the costuming has been just over the top. So.
Oh, and the kid Athorian, just seeing the aliens as kid sized was so cute because we made Athorians that were small, and Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
remember-
the amazing thing about this is just the number of different aliens and creatures and things that we see in it, as opposed to, like Andor that didn't quite have as much, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been really good about that.
That's always
Andor-
my favorite part. So
Yeah, me too. That's what, and in Andor, I kept noticing the lack of other species, and kind of it got to me a little bit. Although the show was amazing as well, and we're looking forward to season 2, which comes up in a couple months.
yeah.
April.
And we're going to start our season 1 watch along next week. And
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
If you were involved at all in Andor, we would love to have you on. But
I'm not.
yeah, was
Or if
that
you're not and just want to sit there and talk
Yeah.
about Andor, that's also it. Just come and
Yeah.
just
you can come in as a fan as well. We would love to have
bullshit
you.
and randomness the way we do as well.
Yep,
Nice.
definitely.
Yeah, they do that in the UK, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was one of the earlier British shows or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's sort of bittersweet.
Yeah.
But
I love that they filmed the spaceport at the McLaren Performance Center. That was sweet. Yeah, so that's actually the McLaren where they have like their Formula One cars, their, their
wow.
high
Yeah.
exotics.
That's right. I remember seeing some of the shots versus like physical actual pictures of that, because it was such a spacey looking location to begin with.
Yeah, we almost, when we were in London for Celebration, we almost took some time to go check it out, just as a filming location.
Cool to see the real world counterpart to any of these Star Wars locations. So
Oh yeah.
Well, we were at Canary Wharf, so we got to see Rogue One.
That's very cool too.
Oh, nice.
I haven't made the hike out into Simi Valley to go to where they filmed the Mandalorian with the first appearance of Boba Fett yet, but at some point I'm gonna make the 5-mile hike or something from where you park to where they actually filmed.
And I was on set, but I was on stage that day on the other unit, so I didn't go out to Simi Valley either. So I don't even know where that.
I've seen location, like sort of general location on Google Maps.
Yeah.
And others had sort of broken down where it was and how to get there. And
nice.
It's for the average, Joe public, it's a bit of a hike, literally, from where you park to where you get to the filming location. But it would be something that's like on my bucket list at some point to go out and get some shots on those rocks that are similar to what Robert shot.
Is there an access road out there? I just don't know.
I think there's fire roads that go up there that you would hike, but not something you could drive.
Wear your snake boots.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I'll need to borrow some boots from Dave.
On it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure all those rural wildernessy type areas have a lot of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. One time I was hiking somewhere near Topanga and we saw these two rattlesnakes, like look like they were fighting or something. We were like, what's going on? And I talked to a snake wrangler because I was working on a commercial and I said, hey, one time I was out and I saw them, like, I don't know what they were doing. And he said, did it look like on the doctor's office, that logo? And yeah, it did. And he was like, oh, that's like, there was a female around and they were like fight,
for dominance.
Yeah. And I was like, and he goes, wow, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never seen that. And I was like, I feel very lucky now.
Yeah, definitely. That's very cool. Did you update that graphic, Dave?
No, I did. No. It is not loaded because I made it and then forgot to load it.
Well, you can throw it in there now. I want to talk about the shirt that Dave's wearing.
Oh, yes.
Glasses on. This is why I wanted to use my computer and then I couldn't get it.
Definitely want to use the computer. So Neil Nation, Dave's got the shirt on. We're big proponents of Neil. He's very cool, a lot of fun, a great character. Very emotive in terms of how he looks and the way you guys operated him, and regardless of how much of that was digital versus puppeteering, it was very cool.
So very cool.
He's so cute.
sure we'll get I may be buying one of those shirts soon too.
So, yeah, you gotta have one. You gotta be part of the Neil Nation. That's where it is.
You gotta do this. The color Dave's on there.
I'm saying that's a good blue. I'm thinking that I might go a little darker blue, but that is a good blue.
Spencer has one that's a little bit more of a royal. That's a little bit less of the Neil, more like a Neil hair color as opposed to a Neil skin color. That's what I was going for.
Anyways, while we were talking, Dave was kind enough to load up our news desk graphic. We have one coming up this Saturday with Gary from Blob of the Hut, and we'll be talking about Star Wars Celebration, and we also have a ticket giveaway. If you haven't entered, look for the post on the Facebook group and follow the rules and enter. And you could win a 3-day pass?
Yes,
it's a 3-day pass, right?
Yep.
For Star Wars Celebration Japan. You have to provide your own airfare and hotel, transportation, etc. But you can get a pass, and that's the first step to go into Star Wars Celebration Japan. You can enter as well, Don.
Those are all sold out. The 3-day passes are sold out.
This is sold out. So yeah, if you're not going, it's a good way to do it.
Oh, that's not the.
Yeah, that's this coming Saturday. We have the draw. So if you haven't entered yet, make sure you get in there and put your name in the hat so that you can possibly win a ticket to Star Wars Celebration and hang out with all of us at our virtual cantina, or not so virtual cantina. I'm sorry, which actually, if you haven't bought tickets for that, is sold out.
It's sold out. You know, I'm not saying that you can, guaranteeing that, but if you win a 3-day ticket, we might know somebody.
Yeah, there might be a little extra thrown in there, but
right, exactly.
That's a popular thing. We sold out in 4 minutes.
For that. So there are ways that we can.
Yeah, and there is a wait list, like Dave said. So that was, that's going to be fun as well. And anybody who is in Japan, we definitely want to see you and spend some time hanging out in the con or elsewhere. It should be a lot of fun. So anywho, we have anything else we need to mention?
Well, tonight at Pacific 3 a.m. Bryce, what's going on?
Yes, Bryce.
Oh yes, I almost said the Ahsoka after show. That would have been really wrong.
It's a little old there.
Well, I'm just thinking they start filming that show this year, and I'm excited about it. But the Skeleton Crew after show, our finale review, as always, the three knuckleheads that spearhead this thing get way off the tracks and start talking about other things.
Well, that's sort of the norm for our shows.
Yeah, it's dropping on YouTube, 12 a.m. Pacific. 3 a.m. Eastern.
So we get to hear your insight.
You can always
watch it after the fact.
Watch it on the go.
Yep. And then we have another episode of Rebels Revisited coming up on Monday with episode 16.
Or Clone Wars Revisited.
I'm sorry. Yeah, one of us is bound to do it. We used to have a show called Rebels Revisited where they would watch episodes of Rebels and talk about their favorite things from the Rebels animated series. And they finished that show, and now they've moved on to Clone Wars Revisited. So Monday nights, you can join Skip, Ashley, and Mark normally, and they will watch an episode and talk about it and sort of do more dives into the things that are related to other properties and stuff. And that was another thing I forgot to mention during that battle where the B-Wings came in, is that the first shot of the B-Wing actually using its turbo lasers or whatever they're called on something was done in Rebels. So
we were trying to figure out
live action version is very cool.
Yeah, we were trying to remember because we see him flying in Return of the Jedi, but we weren't. I was like struggling, if they had used.
You didn't see him. Yeah, you didn't see him like actually open fire on anybody. You just saw him come in, or come in the squadron or whatever. So, but anyways, this has been like I said, it's been a great season, a great show. We've had some amazing guests, and we just appreciate you guys so much. So thank you for joining us. And,
absolutely. Neil and Numa Nation.
Yes. And
right Numa.
It's right there.
Yeah,
right
you
on
could
there.
just cross it out.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool.
So, you know, the show was wizard, as Wim would like to say. I really wish they would have punctuated that use of wizard with one more mention in this episode, but you know, it is what it is.
He was thinking it when the X-Wings and then the big Corellian ship came in.
He was thinking
it.
And now you know the job he wants to do. Instead of being a Jedi, now he wants to be one of the guys.
Yeah, he wants to patrol the galaxy.
That was one of the few things that I could have suggested that it was a missed opportunity in the show. Is the group of X-Wing pilots could have been the group of X-Wing pilots from Boba Fett or from Mando, you know?
Yeah, it would have been nice to see.
Could have brought in, they could have brought in your Rhodian
Lieutenant
pilot.
I feel like those are sprinkles, Dave. I think those are sprinkles that it's culminating in the Rangers of the New Republic.
It could. Maybe they are. Maybe all of these guys are going to come together at some point and get a bunch of a whole X-Wing squadron.
But like a quick shot of Dave's X-Wing pilot or
Trapper.
No, that would be.
Or who was it? Rick was one as well, and I forget the other.
So was Deborah Chow.
Deborah Chow, yes.
Yep.
And then Zeb. If it would have thrown Zeb in there, I would have lost my shit. But anyway,
Carson Teva.
Oh yeah. Carson would have been a good one. That would have been a good one to tie them together. But again, it was a great season. We appreciate you, and we like.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yep. Right. May the force be with you. This is the way, Neil Nation, all
Neil
day.
Nation.
And we will see you guys next time. Thank you, Don, for joining us.
Bye.